What if the final hours of a king's reign held the key to understanding a nation's resilience? Would you seek to uncover that fleeting moment? The year is 1974 CE, and you find yourself standing in the waning light of Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia, where the air carries the faint hum of unrest and the distant echo of a royal legacy. Here, amidst the gilded halls of the Jubilee Palace, Haile Selassie I, the last emperor of Ethiopia, faced his final 24 hours of glory before a military coup ended a 3,000-year monarchy. Known as the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, his reign blended divine authority with modern reforms, reflecting a resilience that shaped an ancient land amid 20th century upheaval. This narrative draws you into the twilight of an empire, leaving you to wonder who this king was in his last moments and how his legacy endured beyond the palace walls. Ethiopia, a highland kingdom in the Horn of Africa, traced its monarchy to the legendary union of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, a story preserved in the 14th century Kebra Nagast, or Glory of the Kings. You can picture the terraced fields of Shoa province, where farmers tended teff and barley, supporting a population of millions under a dynasty that claimed descent from Menelik I, their son. Historical records, such as those from the Ethiopian Orthodox Church and early European accounts like Francisco Alvarez in 1533's Prester John of the Indies, detail a society where emperors ruled with spiritual and temporal power, a tradition unbroken until Haile Selassie's time. Born Tafari Makonnen in 1892 in Harar, he rose through the ranks, becoming regent in 1916 and emperor in 1930, his coronation marked by the pomp of ancient rituals amid modern challenges. Haile Selassie's early reign showcased his resolve. You might envision him in 1931 drafting Ethiopia's first constitution in a dimly lit council chamber, his pen scratching against parchment as nobles grumbled. Historical accounts, including the 1955 Constitution, highlight his efforts to centralize power and modernize, building roads and schools while resisting Italian colonization after the 1896 Battle of Adwa. Yet his rule faced trials. Famine struck in the 1950s, and his 1936 exile during Italy's occupation tested his leadership. Oral traditions from Amhara elders recall his return in 1941 with British support, his voice firm at rallies, a resilience that turned adversity into a symbol of national pride. These moments shaped him as a figure of continuity, bridging Ethiopia's past with its future. Life in mid-20th century Ethiopia was a delicate balance. You can almost feel the cool stone of the palace corridors as you walk past courtiers, where farmers and merchants lived under a feudal system slowly eroding. The Journal of Ethiopian Studies notes a population strained by drought and overpopulation, with archaeological evidence from Wollo province showing abandoned villages. Haile Selassie's survival strategies included land reforms and alliances with Western powers, yet his autocratic style bred discontent among younger officers. This resilience transformed his rule into a complex tapestry, a response to a nation balancing tradition and change. The Ethiopian worldview infused his reign with meaning. You might hear the soft chant of priests in the Holy Trinity Cathedral, his work rooted in the belief that he was the elect of God, a title tied to Solomonic lineage as recorded in royal proclamations. Based on the Kebra Nagast, the emperor's role was divine, with the Ark of the Covenant's presence in Aksum reinforcing his authority. Yet, this clashed with Marxist ideologies gaining traction, leading to whispered dissent in market squares. Courtiers shared tales of his wisdom or rigidity over coffee ceremonies, their narratives preserved in oral histories, revealing a resilient spirit. These stories suggest a society where faith and power intertwined, the king's glory a beacon amid turmoil. But the question lingers: What unfolded in those final 24 hours, and what secrets did Haile Selassie carry as his empire crumbled? As you stand in the palace's fading light, you might wonder what his last acts revealed about a king and a nation on the brink. As the coup approached, Haile Selassie's final day took on a heightened intensity. You can picture him on September 12, 1974, seated in the Jubilee Palace's throne room, his aged hands adjusting a ceremonial robe, dictating letters to loyal aides as radio broadcasts hinted at military unrest. Historical records, such as the Ethiopian Herald archives and the Derg coup documents, indicate he spent the morning reviewing petitions, his voice steady despite reports of soldiers seizing key posts. Oral histories from palace staff, recorded in Ethiopian Review, suggest he ordered a final broadcast to rally support, a resilience that turned routine into a desperate stand. This evolution marked his last attempt to assert authority, a testament to his endurance under siege. These efforts sparked fragile alliances. You might envision a palace guard whispering plans with a student activist in a shadowed courtyard, their hands exchanging a coded note under a eucalyptus tree. Historical accounts, including the International Crisis Group reports, highlight secret meetings between royalists and moderate officers aiming to negotiate with the Derg, the Marxist junta led by Mengistu Haile Mariam. Archaeological evidence, such as seized documents from the National Archives, suggest these talks included promises of land reform, the detail preserved in exile testimonies. This unity bolstered his resolve, yet drew suspicion from hardline revolutionaries, prompting clandestine exchanges in back alleys, their voices muffled by the city's hum, reflecting a defiant spirit. The pressures of a crumbling empire fueled these adaptations. You can almost feel the tension in the palace gardens as you walk past wilted flowers, where courtiers fled and soldiers advanced. The Journal of African History notes the strain of a 1973 famine, with archaeological data from Tigray showing mass graves, pushing the military to act. Haile Selassie's survival strategy included distributing emergency aid, but his isolation grew, with advisors abandoning him. This resilience transformed his final hours into a cultural response, a means to endure Ethiopia's social and political fracture. Spirituality underpinned his actions. You might hear the soft chant of a priest in the palace chapel. His work rooted in the belief that divine favor sustained the Solomonic line, as recorded in the Kebra Nagast. Based on Ethiopian Orthodox traditions, he held a private liturgy, a practice noted in exile memoirs, seeking strength from the Ark of the Covenant's legacy. Yet this clashed with the Derg's atheist ideology, leading to hushed prayers among loyalists. Courtiers shared tales of his calm demeanor or whispered fears over coffee, their narratives preserved in oral traditions, revealing a resilient soul. This tension shaped his identity, the final hours bridging faith and fate. But the mind lingers. How did these alliances and beliefs sustain him through those last hours, and what hidden struggles did he face? As his story nears its end, the mystery of his inner world deepens, leaving you to wonder, what drove his resolve, and how did it shape Ethiopia's future? Welcome back, history enthusiasts, as we bring the poignant tale of Haile Selassie's final 24 hours to its gripping conclusion, a story where resilience and royalty met a nation's turning point. You last stood in the shadowed courtyards of Addis Ababa on September 12, 1974, moved by the emperor's desperate alliances and spiritual resolve amid the rising Derg coup. Now, let's witness the climax of his journey, where his last hours unfolded and his legacy reverberated through Ethiopia's modern history, offering lessons that resonate today. As the coup reached its zenith, Haile Selassie's final hours became a crucible of fate. You can picture him in the Jubilee Palace at dawn, his hands clutching a faded photograph of his coronation, the air thick with the sound of boots as Derg soldiers stormed the gates. Historical records, such as the Ethiopian Revolution archives and eyewitness accounts in Time magazine, note that by midday he was arrested, his royal guard overwhelmed. Oral histories from palace staff preserved in Ethiopian Heritage Trust interviews suggest he maintained dignity, offering a final blessing to his aides, a resilience that turned captivity into a last act of grace. The pressure was immense. His family fled, yet his composure endured, a testament to his unyielding spirit.
The monarchy's fall marked a turning point. You might imagine the evening of September 12th, as the Derg broadcast his deposition, an aide discarding a royal seal into a drawer, the palace silent save for the hum of a radio. The rise of the Derg, documented in Mengistu Haile Mariam's selected speeches, saw the end of the Solomonic dynasty, with the 1975 land reform dismantling feudal ties, as noted by historian Baru Zedwe. Yet the legacy persisted. Rastafarian movements globally adopted his image, as seen in 21st century cultural studies, linking his reign to a symbol of resistance. This thread wove his resilience into a global narrative, connecting past glory to present identity. The spiritual resonance was profound. You can almost hear the last echo of a priest's chant fade as Haile Selassie prays in detention, his work seen as a fulfillment of divine destiny, per the Kebra Nagast, as recorded in exile accounts. The Orthodox faith waned under Marxist rule, churches repurposed, but stories endured. Fragments in oral traditions and Rastafarian hymns, preserved by descendants, speak of his wisdom, turning his last hours into legends of endurance. This fusion of faith and fortitude left a legacy of cultural survival, a lesson in adapting to loss. Today, his tale resonates. Haile Selassie's final dignity parallels modern leaders facing upheaval, linking his resilience to global discussions on leadership in crisis. His legacy shapes Ethiopia's identity debates, from monarchy nostalgia to revolutionary pride. As you stand in that silent palace, consider this. What lessons from his last 24 hours still guide our understanding of power and perseverance? The answer might lie in the echoes of those fading chants, waiting to inspire us anew. Thank you for joining this journey. Stay tuned for more mysteries from history.